Alright, chat, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the one and only Aussie Antics, an industry friend and an absolute legend in the OCE community. Actually, in all communities now at the moment, with all the great viewing parties you put on and all the awesome stuff you do for us, and especially with all the sponsorships and stuff like that, you're absolutely killing it at the moment.
Thanks, man.
The one reason why we do these podcasts, and I like to remind chat all the time about these things, is that I think that what happens is that a lot of people start to forget that the streamer is a human being, and you guys, you know, deal with things and you have responsibilities like family and bills and stuff that we need to deal with on a daily basis. And podcast is basically to bring that personal element where your viewers can actually get to know you as a person, which
I like it.
Can sometimes be hard during chat because some people say some silly things. But yeah,
I'm used to it by now.
So the first...
That was a good intro though, man. I like that, man. I like that.
Yeah,
Playing this in multiple communities. Jeez.
Yeah.
My man's gassing me up. Yeah, I like that. The podcast is the best for that because it is. Like in podcasts, I feel like for me as a streamer, with me talking to chat, people get to see the personal side a bit more. But especially like with pros and a lot of streamers, you just never really do. Like they just don't open up like you do in long format. As soon as it's podcast, you have like long format to talk about a bunch of stuff. It's so much better.
Yeah, and it answers a lot of questions too. It's like, I've experienced it on a very much smaller level, but you know, a lot of people always want to know things like, oh, how long have you been streaming for, or why do you call yourself Aussie Antics and all that sort of stuff. And it's nice to have somewhere where you could just go there and it's just like, it's all there. It's all for you.
Oh, definitely. So I get asked them all the time, and I try to answer them, but then like you answer it one time, and then you know that if you answer something an hour ago, like you know the new person didn't hear the answer, but you know the old people did. So it's finding that balance of like, do I re-answer the whole spiel for this one person?
Yeah.
Or but then everyone else has already heard it. Like you're hearing a story you've already heard 6 times. You know? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and then there's the element of like, and you've said it before in your streams, and it's so funny because it's so true. You got to assume that everybody that asks a question repetitively just joined chat.
Literally just joined. Yeah, you can't. If you started trying to assume like, man, I just answered that 5 minutes ago. You don't know. People come and go. Like you got a high churn rate that you have to assume that person's new. Otherwise, your mental just goes down the drain because you're like, why am I answering this so many times? But my chat's getting better though. Like I'm getting better at conditioning people. Like, good guys, as we grow, I can't answer every single question in chat. And it's not even that I don't see it. It's like, I'll see it, man, but it's like, it's maybe a conversation I don't want to have. It might be a conversation I just had 10 minutes ago. Like, you have to assume that if you ask it a couple of times and I don't answer, it's not that I didn't see it, I'm just not going to. So, like, let it slide. Some people are better with that than others, but...
Everybody handles it differently, I guess.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right, so the first big question I have for you, the name Aussie Antics. Where did that come from, and how did you come up with it?
Yeah, so I get asked this one a lot, and I wish I had a cooler origin story. I genuinely really wish I did, but it was just when I first started streaming, I knew that I wanted like Aussie or like Australian to be a feature, right? Like I don't know. I'm proud of being Australian. There's so many phenomenal Australian content creators. I was like, I want that in there. And then I was like, okay, well, let's go with alliteration. Let's think, what's another A word? And I just kind of stumbled on antics. But for me, even since the start of streaming, I never, ever thought I'd get to this point. I never, ever thought it would be a career. But I still wanted to make sure that I future-proofed like my branding. So like I didn't want to be like when you see people with like I've said this to stream before, like when you have like FN in your name or you have like OCE in your name, it's like it just kind of limits you. So I wanted a name where if I've randomly stopped streaming video games and I've become a cooking channel, it's still the same thing, right? It works either way. So that was the thought process. And just antics, obviously not a lot of people realize it's an actual word. Antics is a word, which means kind of like, I don't know, like fun kind of random, like it's just doing things. Like antics is a more Australian word, I've noticed, an American word. But funny thing, turns out there is a guy called Aussie Antics who was like, had it before me. And there's apparently an Aussie Antics Australian TV show, but it's like really, really small and obscure. And I didn't know that existed. Like, wait, let me see if I can find it. I don't know what they do, but I've been told it so many times. If I Google Aussie Antics, I'm just too famous. All my stuff comes up now. Damn. Wait.
Wow.
There is like it's like an outback. I don't know. It's like an Australian like I don't know. It's a weird show, but yeah, they have it. And there's a guy on Instagram that has Aussie Antics, and he's just like a real guy. Like he didn't steal it from me. He just had it. So I don't know. Here I am thinking I was being super original, and apparently I wasn't. Maybe I just I don't know subconsciously ripped it off from some like Australian TV show.
Yeah, but it's like anything Australian. It's like one person thinks of something, but trust me, another 50 Aussies have thought of it too.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's the thing with naming too. Like, it's so hard with like people always ask me like, oh, is my name good? Is my name good? Just my definition of like a good name, if you're gonna get into content, is just nothing about any specific game, nothing about your region, and no numbers if you can avoid it. Like, you got to come up with something kind of original. And I know how hard that is though. Like, so many names are taken and everyone struggles. Yeah. I'm lucky where I've got it on pretty much every platform because it was just a name that not a lot of people had. So I don't know. That's kind of where I came from. I wish there was a cooler origin story. I just came up with it one day and it worked. So my original logo was like a buff wombat holding a shotgun, which I got made for me. So like I used to be a bit more like leaning on the Australian side. Like I still got my sub badges and a lot of my emotes are still a wombat, but it's like I've kind of leaned a little bit away from it now.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt that it stands out. It's definitely a very good name and very representative of yourself and the channel as well, which is really good.
I tried.
How long have you been streaming for now in total?
So I started in October of 2018. So we're pushing on 2 years. It'll be 2 years next month. I'm gonna try and I missed my 1 year like on streaming anniversary thing. We were streaming one day, and I think someone asked me how long I've been streaming for. And it was like 2 days after it, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's been just under a year. And someone in chat's like, didn't you start on this day? And I was like, oh my God, we missed my 1 year streaming anniversary. So hopefully I remember this time around. But it was weird for me because a lot of people know my OG streaming days. Like, I got the nice setup now and I'm getting my new internet, but my internet was atrocious, like actually terrible. Some of the worst you can get in it, even. So I had to spend like $4,000 getting satellites to just stream at all, and it would still drop out every hour on the dot. So my original streams were weird because I streamed a couple of times on Twitch, but I dropped out within like 10 minutes, and I did that for like a month until I got this new internet. So it's kind of like, which one do I pick? So I usually go off October, which was like my official, actually had a stream that stayed live for more than 10 minutes, and that's when I started. But I think technically if you go back into my stats, like my first couple of streams that lasted 3 minutes were in like September though. So it's been, just under 2 years now.
So how did you come to the point where you started streaming? So like how did you turn around yourself and say, you know what, I'm gonna do this?
Yeah, so I followed streamers growing up quite a lot. I've been in video games since I was like 5 years old. When I first started watching streamers massively, it was when I was about 15 or 16, and it was the OG TSM roster for League of Legends. Like, League of Legends esports had just started, and there was like the TSM team. They all lived in a house, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And then since then, I've always watched a bunch of streamers like Shroud and like Summit 1G. I think the main inspiration for me to get into streaming was I love playing solo games, but I like talking to people. So it's like, it's hard because I don't want to play a team game mode as much. Like, I've played Overwatch competitively, I've played League of Legends at a high level, and I just don't like team game modes, but I want to talk to people. So I was like, all right, I'll start streaming. It was just kind of that thing for me where I just thought I would get like 10 viewers and I just talk to some people, and it just make me playing games more fun. Like, throughout all of high school, throughout my full-time job before streaming, I would just play as many video games as I could on top of everything else I did. So I was like, why didn't I just stream me doing it? But then when it started to kind of take off, it was just a bit different. But yeah, I guess that's kind of me wanting to get into it. My biggest inspirations would have probably been like maybe like Shroud and Summit 1G's community. Just playing games, talking to people was essentially why I did it. I didn't have any grand kind of ideas. And I mean, I was watching a few Fortnite streamers. Like, at that point, Fortnite was just starting to get really big. So I was watching Fresh in his early days. I was watching like, Muselk and stuff like that. So I guess that was kind of it as well.
Like, yeah, there's no doubt. And Shroud and Summit are probably two of the biggest legends in the streaming community because they've done so much. And even till today, they can play solitaire, and there's 30,000-40,000 people watching them because
it's insane. Yeah,
such a strong
best communities
background.
Ever.
So do you feel like when you first started, did you see it as a long-term career, or did you first start thinking, look, I'm just going to give it a go? Because a lot of people are like, I'm just going to give this a go and see where it goes. Yeah. Or did you come into it with that mind train, or did you come into it with the mindset that I'm going to do this and this is something I'm going to try, I'm going to make sure it happens long-term?
I think for me, when I very first started, a lot of people realize I liked my job before this. I was a personal trainer. I ran my own business. I liked it. I didn't love it as much as streaming now. But when I started out, I had no goals of making this a career. Like, I started in October. Like I said, my goal, I told my friends, like, hey, if I get 10 average viewers by the end of December, like by the end of the year, I'm stoked. Like, that was my goal. Like 3 months to get 10 average viewers. I hit that. Now looking back at it, that was actually a pretty difficult goal when I talk to streamers now, because a lot of people have a much slower trajectory than me. But I didn't have any grand ideals, no. And then it was during that school holidays, because if you guys are not Australian viewers, our school holidays over Christmas were 6 weeks long, which is our longest of the year because that's summer for us. Was when I started to get some decent viewership, and I kind of broke into the more like 40 to 50-ish viewer mark. And I started to kind of be like, maybe this could be a job. But after maybe around like February or March of that year was like, I need to make this a career, or I at least need to give it the best shot I possibly can, where if it fails, at least I know I tried as hard as I could. So not really a career from the start, but within about 6 months, I was like, I really want to do this as a job.
Was there any point during that time period where you felt like this isn't going to work out for me?
Oh yeah. I had some big moments like that. There was big times. So a lot of people don't know, when I first tried to get partnerships, so I was averaging around 100 to 150 viewers. I was going for partner, and I got shut down like 5 or 6 times in a row because someone was coming to my stream, putting a view bot on it once a week or like once a month for like 100, 200 viewers. Even if I ended the stream within 5 minutes, Twitch still flagged that as an artificial inflation of my statistics, so they couldn't give me partner. Even if you do the stats, it was getting me like less than half an average view. And so when I got partner, I was averaging 140 viewers before I got partner, because I had been reaching out to them every month like, guys, you're not giving me a way to stop it. You told me you know it's not me. You've proved it's not me. That's why I'm not getting banned. So what do I do? Like, I'm stuck. Like, you need to help me here. So eventually I got it, and it was still only until, honestly, I shouldn't have done what I did until I moved this year in March. I was still probably running at a negative on streaming because I was spending so much money on my setup and making everything as nice as possible. I was renting a room at a friend's house so I could stream with better quality. Like, I was doing all that. It was only until March of this year that I really started to make it like a job. But I quit my job in December. So I quit my job 3 months beforehand and bought a house with a mortgage. So like, I probably shouldn't have done it the way I did it, but I was that committed that I wanted to make it work. But there were so many times where I thought this might not be it. Like, I was so many times where I thought maybe I'll quit. Like, maybe I'll just ease it back. And because I was giving up shifts in my job. I was a personal trainer. I went from doing like maybe 50 sessions a week for an hour to like 25, 30 towards the end, sometimes even downwards of 20, because I wanted to stream more. So I was giving up a lot of income. So yeah, there was a lot of times where I thought it couldn't, but once I kind of March of this year, when everything took off, was when I was like, I'm doing this forever, and I've been trying to like work really hard on future-proofing it now. Like, I'm putting more effort into platforms like YouTube and stuff that might not help my growth right now, where if I streamed longer and put more energy into streaming, I might do better, but it'll help me long-term. So
so see, these are the things that a lot of people don't realize, and this is like the one reason why I do this podcast again, is like the amount of stress and struggle that a lot of streamers incur, especially people that are at your level now. There is a lot of, we'll call it BS, that happens before it even gets to this level. And if you don't have the mind, if you just don't have the capacity to take on these responsibilities or take on these stress factors, then streaming can crash before it even starts. You know?
Oh, definitely. It's crazy. I've told people, it's like, if you have a normal job, and again, a lot of my audience a bit on the younger side, but like, once you get a job, you start getting performance reviews, right? Like, you go you start freaking out, like, oh my God, my performance reviews next week. And you get really freaked out about it, and you go in, your boss tells you whether you've been doing a good job. As a streamer, you have that of every second of every day. Like, I uploaded a YouTube video today. It's not doing the greatest, but YouTube like tells you that. You upload it and you check an hour later, how's it going? It literally lists out of 10 how well or poorly it's doing. So 1 out of 10 means it's your best video in the last 10. 10 means it's your worst. Like, I did a video today that's a 9 out of 10. So it's like, today's video wasn't good. People don't like it. Like, you're literally being told constantly, you know what I mean? You go live and you maybe have, X amount of viewers less than yesterday. Like, it's a mental battle for sure. It's a great job, but you have to be able to switch that off a little bit in some way. And I've gotten a lot better at it now than what I used to. Like, it's crazy. Like, you have to get good at being able to tune out the numbers and just accept that sometimes things just don't work and it's not you. You can't take it personally.
Yep. That's so interesting, because it's like last week I was discussing the same thing with Overstrand. It was this there's this one thing. So I don't know, a lot of people probably don't know this, especially on Twitch, but if you do stream, usually when you end your stream, and I believe this is only when you become an affiliate, Twitch sends you an email which is like a summary of how your stream went and stuff like that. And
Yep.
I know of streamers, friends of mine that were streaming, and
Mhm.
those emails were enough to break them because
Really?
it was a
Yeah, I
constant
could see it.
reminder. It was a constant
Hmm.
reminder every single day of whether they're improving or not improving. And if for a few weeks they just saw a slow decline, that hurt
Yep.
more than whatever
Yep.
was actually happening in chat. So it was more
Hmm.
like what's
Yeah.
happening off stream than what's on stream. And these are the things you got to deal with. That's just part of the job. That's literally 40% of the job is your analytics. You need to watch your
Yeah.
growth.
Yep.
Um,
And it's if
yeah,
you're pushing for partner too, like when like every average
yep,
view literally matters, like you're just trying to hit that you magic 75 number, and then yesterday you're only 3 views away, but today the average was like I know friends who have like gone live, realize that people like aren't there, so they end stream because they just don't want to like have a stream where they're too far below that like 75 number and stuff. Yeah, I could see
correct.
it. It's pretty stressful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Analytics is like is the reality. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
you see your
Yep.
viewers and that, and yeah, it's just like when reality hits, it just makes everything that little bit harder. But
Yep. And it's at the end of every stream, like you said, like you get the
yep,
reminder every single time.
yep, yep. It's yeah, it's like being bashed
Oh
constantly.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
But
especially if you know you didn't have the best stream. Like that's the worst part too, because it starts to, and it's a vicious cycle, right?
mhm,
Your viewers are down, your views are down, so you're not in the best mood. So then you're not giving your best content. So then the views go down more, and it's just yeah, it's a really really scary vicious cycle.
yeah. Um, my that bringing the topic about socials and uploading and sort of and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So with your channel, you've obviously built your Twitch up to where it is
Mhm.
now before you actually start to reach out onto other platforms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, do you feel like that's something that people should do from the very start? Do you believe that other socials help in a big way?
Oh, massively, yeah. I wouldn't
Yeah.
advise to do people the way I did it. So I grew on Twitch because, again, if most people see my stream, I'm interactive. I talk to people, I get them involved, and I like community building. So Twitch was definitely the platform for me. But I gained quite a lot from Discord because back in the day, I was like one of the main customs and scrims hosts for OCE because I just liked running practice. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people use customs to get views because it got you easier views if you're hosting customs and stuff. But you can tell the people who enjoy doing it, like yourself. Like I can tell the people who like doing it, and if they don't like doing it, they won't do it, right? And you got the other people who get stuck in that kind of trend. But for me, I focused a lot of my time on Twitch just because it's the platform I enjoyed. I like talking to people. I liked doing that. YouTube, I just didn't really get it. I didn't have an editor. I wasn't good at editing, and it just with the way my Twitch grew so much, I would be like, why would I spend 2 hours making a YouTube video that's going to get 100 views when
Yeah.
I can stream right now to like 400-500 people at that point? You know what I mean? It just didn't make a lot of sense comparatively. But
Yeah.
then I was like, no, I need to future proof this. Like, I need to be good on multiple platforms.
Mhm.
But for new streamers, I always advise you have to put content out on every platform because it's just more eyes on you. Twitch does not have great discoverability. It just doesn't. The more views you have, the more viewers you get. It just helps build the big. Now that I'm getting more to that point, if you go to Fortnite right now, most times I'm live, you don't have to scroll down to find me. That's a huge bonus. But if you're small, you don't have that. So putting out content on Twitter, Instagram, especially like TikTok, the ones with just huge blow up potential, is definitely the way to go. YouTube's hard because YouTube right now, I've only been doing YouTube seriously for like 2 months now. So I can't really talk too much to that. But I always had in my head that Instagram and YouTube were the two platforms that you put content on and they recommend it and you explode. It just doesn't happen anymore. So I
Yeah.
fully see the pain of small YouTubers. So I feel like that's harder. But Twitter, Instagram, especially if you're doing stuff with other creators and like collaborating with other creators and their communities can really help. Because like a
Yep.
Twitter post and Instagram post don't take that much time. It's a YouTube video that takes like effort.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's exactly right. And people will
Yeah.
see that. People recognize that when someone sees you invest time and money into yourself
Yeah.
and into your stream,
Yeah.
you get that back. It's like the old saying.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like whatever you put in, you get back. You get back
Oh,
out.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think you do. Like,
mm,
you need to work on the quality of the content you put out. Like you just said, you touched on it really well there. Some people ask me like, hey man, like I've been streaming for this long and no one watches and stuff. And it's like, well, what's different? Like the quality, like when I go to someone's stream and if they don't even have like any overlays, or I know not everyone wants to show their face and I get that, but face cam's the most recognizable way when you join a stream of, oh, this is that guy, right? If you don't have that, you need some kind of overlays. You need to pay someone to make you a logo, maybe a hand cam. Your stream needs to, at a quick, instant, millisecond glance, someone to know whose stream it is and who you are. If you don't have that and the quality isn't there, people will not give you the chance to stick around no matter how good your personality is, because they'll watch for 10 seconds and they'll leave. You need to have something to kind of like keep their attention for at least like a minute.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking on personal,
Yeah,
thing when I was streaming on console, I didn't have any of those things, and
it's so
it
much
made it
harder.
so much harder. Yeah, it was just the stream quality was not that good.
Yeah,
It was hard to interact with people, chat to people because I'm constantly looking at my mobile phone and then I'm constantly on the
yeah,
console. It just made the whole experience that much harder.
yeah,
And then obviously everybody's travel will be different in that in relation to that. But going out and buying a
yeah.
PC and a cam doesn't matter how cheap
You can.
or expensive it is. Just having
Yeah,
a cam changed the
yeah.
entire the entire vibe of the entire stream. Just being able to talk to people as a person. You
Oh,
know?
massively. Yeah, it's so huge. And people always ask that. I'm like, well, look, like I said, I wasn't running a profit until like over a year and a bit into my streaming career. I was putting like all my money or a good chunk of my money from my other job into it. So if you want to get into streaming and you're like, oh, no one's gonna watch me because I'm on console, well, maybe get a part-time job. Like, like streaming, it should be a passion. Don't try and do it for an income. Content creation for an income is going to be very difficult. I say it on stream all the time. Like as much as I'll answer your questions here, like you're asking the wrong person when you ask the person who made it. Like if I think I saw it on a talk show, I don't know who it was, but it's like asking someone who won the lotto, should I just sell my house and go buy lotto tickets? Because yeah, it worked for them, right? They spend their money on lotto tickets, but statistically, that is terrible advice. Trying to go off someone like me who's in that massive minority who made it, probably not the best. But again, don't try to make it as like as a job. Just try to enjoy it. Like I got into streaming because I just loved it and I loved the whole process. That's why again, I stopped doing customs and went from like, averaging, like I was getting like maybe an extra 10, 20 average viewers a month consistently to then for about 4 months, I didn't go off my viewers. I stayed on like 120 viewers for like 4 or 5 months until I started doing viewing parties and other content I enjoy. But I wasn't just going to keep doing the thing that I didn't enjoy for views. Because even if you then make it, you're going to hate it. If you make it as a content creator by doing that clickbaity, like just terrible content you don't enjoy, then what's the point? That you want to make it because you want to be the person like Laserbeam or those big guys who enjoy it and do fun stuff. They're not just doing content that just pulls views,
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like anything you do. It's not just streaming, but anything you do. If you don't enjoy it, you're never gonna do it well.
Oh, exactly.
You have to have fun.
You go, yeah, and like what I mean. Like you go on, you work hard to buy a nice mountain bike so you can go mountain biking and be better at it. You don't do it to become a professional mountain biker. You know what I mean?
Correct.
There's just you enjoy having the nice stuff to make the process more fun. And if it gets there and it's a job, awesome. Fully foster it and push it, but you need to get somewhere before it can be a job.
Yeah, exactly. So you're 27 now.
Hey, not yet. Almost. Hey, you come me 2 months short. I'm 26, turning 27. Okay. I know you want me to bring closer to your age. But you want another boomer in the community, but yeah, all right. I'll let you.
It's
continue.
only a year, mate. It's only a year. Is like streaming at your age or at our age? A lot of people would find that weird, and not about chat and all that. I'm talking about relatives, family, cousins, your IRL friends. A lot of people in our lives would find that weird. Do you feel like what kind of reaction did you get when family found out that this is what you want to do?
I'm super blessed. Like I'm really, really fortunate that my family, like my partner Andy, that everyone knows if they watch my stream or my content, my parents, even my brother's now gone into streaming. So the fact that I've always had a family that's very understanding has been great. It was only when we had the whole family up at my house that I just bought this year for Christmas in July that my maybe more extended relatives got to see it. But by that point, it's a bit more solidified. They've walked into my room, they can see, the triple monitors, the 2 PCs, like they know it looks more legit. But so I've been very lucky with family and even friends to an extent as well. But I've always been that guy where before streaming, I put all my time and energy into working out and stuff. And I'm not an introverted person. I can socialize. Well, I am introverted. I can socialize well, but I am quite to myself. So people knew I played video games a lot. But I guess the commentary side of things for me legitimizes it for the people who don't understand, maybe like my grandma and people who aren't in the scene as much. I'm like, well, look, the Australian Open that was this year, giant tennis tournament, I went there and I commentated the $500,000 Fortnite tournament. And they get that a little bit more, even though that's not probably the main bulk of what I do. But my favorite thing, I've always told chat, and I tell it to the pros that I talk to, like I know Repulse God is particularly vocal about the fact that he hates when he talks to people and they belittle him for being like, oh, you play Fortnite. And it's like, I've made more money than you, know what I mean? Like he has that response. For me, I kind of like actually just making it sound as abstract as possible. I'm like, oh, I play video games. Like, oh, I don't. I actually talk about video games. And they're like, That's your job? I'm like, yeah. So people watch me talk about other people playing video games, and they're just really confused, and I don't correct them because I just find it funny. But if I want to legitimize it, I just say like, look, I make content, but mostly I do commentary work. So if there's a big Fortnite tournament, need someone to commentate over it like a sports match, that's what I do. And that makes them get it more. The funniest person that came on board that I knew would always support it because he's just always just wants me to be happy is my dad, but he freaking loves it. If he meets someone now and like say he's like they get a new marketing manager at his work, he's like, oh, do you have kids? Oh, how old are they? Oh, they're 8. Do they play Fortnite? And he'll always like get me into the conversation. It's super cute. So I've been very lucky to have family that are really proud of what I do as long as it makes me happy. But yeah, it's gotten to the point now where when Annie lost her job because of COVID and I was working, her friends were the ones who really struggled to be like, oh, so how's it all going? You know, like you lost your job, you know, Sean plays video games. How's that going? And it's like, yeah, no, we're okay. And they just didn't get the financial side of things that we could survive off a single income of me playing video games. That's where it got a little bit funnier, but that was just a nice moment for me knowing that I could support my family with my income now when I took some pretty big risks in the past, like I said.
And you know, that's what this is all about. It's like it's just people realizing that it's not just turn on a computer and stream. Like there's just so much more behind it. You know what I mean?
Well, look at you, man. Like you're running an org and stuff now. Like you started like picking up some players and stuff. Like you're really getting into the nitty gritty of like the fact that it's a business. It's esports, right? Like it's just a business that revolves around online personalities, like it would with real life personalities. You know?
Correct. It's an industry just like any other, and any industry makes money if you know how to look after it and you put your heart and soul into it. Anything you put your heart and soul into, you could make, I don't know, tiles for a living, and if you put your heart and soul into it, it could be worth $1 million. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, definitely. Like, and this is a new growing industry too. So it's like the one where if you've got the passion for it and you're smart enough to maybe try and do it a bit differently, because there's like everyone's doing it different right now. There's no like set way. You can really, really do some good stuff with it. Especially, I mean, COVID hit, right? And it was one of the biggest industries of growth there was because everyone's home looking for entertainment now. There's no sports on, so they started doing like, I know Fox Sports started having like Formula One like PC racing games as a sports broadcast, because like, well, we can't get them on the track, but we have this, and it people at home are like, it's basically the same. Like it's once you get past the fact there's not real people in them, but there's real people at home driving them, it's still impressive.
Yeah, and it is, and then when you see the how realistic and how almost legitimate it is, it's like, dude, esports is almost IRL without having to be IRL.
it's getting there as well. And I mean, Fortnite World Cup did that too. Obviously, Boogie did the rounds, and it was like, you made $3 million and stuff. Like it was crazy. Like it really helped legitimize it.
What do you have hobbies that you do outside of obviously streaming and gaming? What is AUSSIEANTICS doing?
No.
Oh my god.
It's bad. So like I said, when I was a personal trainer, I used to be. That's where my parents and Annie especially knew how serious it came for me, because I went from, I think I tell people in about 7 years, I maybe missed less than 10 days at the gym. So I was like 7 days a week, every single week, like supplements, studying, like I was all over, right? Like I was pretty much at the point where I could compete as a bodybuilder, but just chose not to because I just enjoyed the pursuit of just getting fitter for the sake of it. And I've gone back now to training way, way less, to the point where I am going to start picking it up. So right now, no. I mean, books behind me, I used to read like a book or two a week, and just no now. Like it consumes me completely now, but that's just me as a person. I'm a very like, this is it, and this is what I want to put my time into. So right now my schedule would look like get up at 6, hang out with Annie, have some breakfast with her, maybe take Steve for a walk if I have time, which is my dog, and then get home. I'll stream from 8 until about 4. Then from 4 till 6:30, I'll film a YouTube video. Then I'll go have dinner with Annie, and then we'll watch some anime or some TV, and then I go to sleep and do rinse and repeat 7 days a week. So that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of time for hobbies, but I want to find that balance. I've found that I stream better and I make better content, even though I make a little bit less, if I'm getting those breaks for me in between.
Nice. So most people already know because you just answered it now. I was going to ask you, what pets do you have? But if 99% of the people that watch this know Steve, know him very, very well.
I've got corgis everywhere. I've got my corgi Steve. We do have my cat Winnie, which unfortunately isn't seen on stream a lot because Steve and Winnie don't get along the greatest. Steve loves Winnie. Winnie doesn't like Steve. And I have my goldfish Reginald. But yeah, that's it for the pet life.
Yeah, nice and simple, I guess. I'm exactly the same as you. It's so funny. I've got a small dog and I also have a fish. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's your fish's name?
I didn't give him one.
You got to give your fish a name, man. It's so much fun. Like, I just love introducing my fish to people as Reginald because it's this like really dopey looking orange goldfish and it's got such like a, you know, like regal name. I freaking love it. You got to name your fish. But I mean, this is a fish tank behind me and I've had it for like 3 months and my stream's been giving me a hard time because I literally have just not put water in it because I'm just, again, like I don't do anything outside of content. I'm like, oh, that's an hour I could have spent making a video, but I need to do it soon.
Yeah, yeah. It brings such a vibe to a room or even a house. Like our fish tank makes out, like when you turn on the lights for the fish tank and that, it just lightens up the whole living room and you can just chill in there all night. It's so nice.
It's life as well. It's having something that's living, moving around. You know, like my room's cool. I got the lights and stuff, but there's no plants in here because the windows are always down. I want something that's like alive in my room other than me.
Yeah. Alive. That's strong word. Strong word. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up soon, but one question I had for you: what's the future like for you personally, and then for Aussie Antics?
Ooh, for me personally, I guess the biggest thing I've got coming up personally is I'm getting married next year. So April of next year, I'm getting married. So that's coming around quick. Like I felt like that was further away than it was, and then Annie was like, you know, you're gonna have to like sort out like, you know, your suit and groomsman suits like at least 6 months before. I'm like, yeah, I've got heaps of time. She's like, no, you really don't. It's like 6 months, like next month, like kind of got to go. So that's one thing for me, I guess. Personally, like I said, I'm going to start working on doing some other stuff for me. I just got some running shoes. I'm going to start going for runs and start working out again. I want to, again, because it's freaking me, I'm going to incorporate that into streaming. I want to start working out a bit on stream because Arab has been doing that and kind of killing it, and I like that. For me, professionally, I mean, everyone who watches me knows that my biggest grind right now is I want to get 100K on YouTube. So like I'm pushing that really heavy. I just did 8 videos in 7 days. I got another one tomorrow, another one after that. But other than that, I guess just keep doing what I'm doing, man. I tell people on stream, I don't have these insane goals of like that 100K on YouTube is just a goal for me to kind of push me to keep making content because at the end of a long stream, I need that to be like make the YouTube video. But overall, I just want to do this forever. So if I just don't grow from this point, but I don't go down from this point, and I'm at like just an income level where I can support my family forever, that's it. But I've told my stream that I want to have kids the next like 2 or 3 years. So I'm like just trying to work as hard as I can now to save as much as I can so that I know that when I have kids, content will be a little bit harder. I'll balance it as best I can, but I'm not bringing kids into the world unless I've got like a stable income. So that's pretty much it for me, just future proofing, you know. I've talked to stream about how next year, if COVID kind of goes away and I get the opportunity to go to America so I can actually do like major tournament commentary, like if World Cup comes back for Fortnite and hopefully I'm still working for Fortnite, I'm not going to miss the opportunity to do that just because I'm in Australia. So I guess that's about it pretty much.
Nice. That's really positive. And I mean, your stream is one of the greatest, and a lot of people
Thanks, mate.
look up to you as a role model, and we know that because I had the last 2 podcasts I had with Techman, Overstrand, people like that. You were the first name that came up as soon as they asked, "Who do you look up to as a streamer?" You were the first person that came up. So
that's mad wholesome, man. I'm so proud of both of them too. Like it's so good seeing that. Like I remember finding Techma like 3 or 4 viewers, and I wanted to dispel that myth as well. Like I think Techma did a tweet recently. How did you hear about me? And a lot of people like, you know, like 90% was saying me, but I'm like, yeah, but that's not me making you. Like I brought attention to you, but you kept it. Like I haven't done a viewing party now for like, you know, 2-3 months because there's no tournaments on. You're now a partnered streamer. Like I gave you some attention, but you kept it and you drove it. You know what I mean? Like I don't like when people do that, but yeah, I could not be more proud of Techmart Overstrand too. Like 2 people who are young in the community doing it in the right way, like growing out of positivity, not just because it's so easy to get friggin' clicks by being negative right now. Like you go on Twitter and you say something negative and you just maybe like, you know, talk a bunch of smack on Epic Games and how terrible it is. You'll get way more likes than you turn around saying you love the game right now. You know, it's just, it is what it is. So yeah, they're killing it.
And that's not the vibes that you really want to have long term. You know, short term it's great. Long term it's definitely not good.
Definitely not it.
Well, I think that wraps it up. That's everything that you can safely talk about in a podcast, which is good. And I appreciate you coming on today. That was absolutely awesome. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Are you kidding me, bro? If we're talking like people here assuming they know who I am, they're going to know who you are, at least from my community as well. Everyone knows Sam's in my chat. So it's like the least I can do for the support you've done me. And I love podcast content, man. Like people keep telling me to make it. Just like you said, just getting to know people better is the best way to do it. So thank you for having me on.
No, I appreciate it, man. And yeah, like I said, you know, I cannot thank you enough for everything. And this is not just coming from me. This is coming from me and a lot of other people that have said the same thing. it's not just about our streams, but the OCE community as a whole.
Yeah.
Like when you get rated by someone like Ronaldo, which you were today.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that people are seeing what's happening in OCE, and that's
True.
what you are bringing that to them. You are bringing OCE to NA. You're bringing it to Europe.
Yeah.
You're bringing it to Middle East and Asia. You're bringing OCE to those people. You know, so
Yeah.
and
Thanks, man.
it does heaps for all of us. There's no doubt.
I'm doing my best. That was one of the main motivators, like with viewing parties. Like when I look, like my schedule right now, like I said, with like my time is perfect the way it is. The only thing that would make me throw it off is when OCE 20s come back. I can't miss them. So that's when I'll start doing that weird kind of stream in the morning, sleep, and then come back in the afternoon to do 20s. Like I'll have to, because man, I love OCE too much. Like, thank you, I appreciate that. But the OCE community, I feel like, has genuinely given me as much, if not more, back. Because they've made me. Like, that's when my stream started to grow, was viewing parties at OCE. So I don't know. I think I'll do as much as I can for OCE until the day I die, because they're the reason I'm here. So
nice. All right. Well, that's
Thank you,
everything for today, chat.
Got a little bit, I'm up mine. Tell me what's on yours. I got two feelings about my finesse, but I drop it all. I'm trying my best to wake up and not feel like shit. I wanna wake up and feel like